play foundational role in supporting the health and well-being of the child. And whereas the support of parents, extended families, caregivers, and the community helps children grow into healthy, productive adults. And whereas strengthening families improves the lives of children by promoting their safety and well-being and provides economic security. And whereas child support is a vital source of income for households in Pueblo County, many of them low-income families. And whereas the payment of child support contributes to improved educational attainment for children and reduced reliance on public assistance programs. And whereas Pueblo County celebrates the parents who support their children and make consistent child support payments to care for them. And whereas Pueblo County honors the 41 child support professionals who collected more than 7.6 million for the families of Pueblo County in federal fiscal year 25. And whereas Pueblo County wishes to educate families about the availability of child support services and to continuously enhance the services that it provides with innovative initiatives aimed at meeting the needs of all family members. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Board of County Commissioners of the County of Pueblo, State of Colorado proclaims the month of August 2026 as Child Support Awareness Month and encourages all citizens of Pueblo County to work together to create a bright and stable future for our children. Good morning.
Thank you for reading that. I know it was a mouthful. This proclamation serves as a reminder of the importance of supporting children and families within our community. We encourage everyone to join us in raising awareness and promoting the well-being of children during this month and beyond. A special thank you to the current 39 dedicated child support professionals who work tirelessly behind the scene. Most of them are here in green because that's the child support awareness color. Their hard work, compassion, and commitment is often overlooked. But their efforts are vital to ensuring that families in our community receive the support that they need. Their dedication helps strengthen families, improves lives, and foster a healthier, more resilient Pueblo County. I truly appreciate their service and the positive impact that they make every day. I would also like to note that in June, Pueblo County received an award for meeting all 3 county CSTATs for the month or for the year of 2025. So I brought our plaque to show you guys. So,
you don't think we'd believe you or what?
No, I have to bring proof. Yeah, so
Okay,
yeah, we'll make you hold it.
There you go. Yeah, now I get to hold it. Anybody else like to speak on behalf of this proclamation?
I just want to echo Heather's sentiments. These folks work tirelessly. Our jobs are always changing, and they do such a good job. And this particular unit has such a great spirit of teamwork that it's just an appreciation, and it's a good breath of fresh air when you walk into child support because they're always willing to help each other, always willing to help customers. They really truly have a passion for serving this community.
Thank you, Tammy. And I'll just quickly echo what you guys have said about just child support services and just the massive hearts that you all have, and to care for our most precious commodity, which is our children. I know that it can be strainful at many times. I mean, kids are kids, and especially kids being, that there are so many difficult situations for families and children out there, and to put that strain on the families and the children themselves. A lot of kids don't even understand some of the situations that they're being put in, and they need that guiding hand from all of you. So I would just say thank you from the bottom of my heart for everything that you continuously do. One day is not enough to recognize you, but just know that you're appreciated 365 days a year.
Well said. We appreciate you guys very much. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for being here today too.
Now it's picture time. Where'd Tammy go? Oh, all right. She ducked out or something. Thank you very much again. That'll bring us into our consent agenda, Mr. Hirsch.
Yes, our one item on the consent agenda, 3A, is a resolution continuing the authorization of a declaration of local disaster emergency regarding the Aspen Acres fire.
Okay. Pretty self-explanatory. Anybody got anything?
No, sir.
I'll ask for a motion to approve the consent agenda as presented.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes, and that'll bring us into our regular agenda, Mr. Hirsch.
Okay, our first item on the regular agenda, 4A, is a resolution approving the agreement between Playcore Wisconsin Incorporated, doing business as Game Time, and Pueblo County for installation of playground equipment at the Fulton Heights Community Center.
Morning, Commissioners. Looking to seek approval for this will be the Fulton Heights Playground. This is CTF funded, so it is not general fund funded. And if anybody has any questions, I'd be happy to answer.
No, I mean, it's kind of nice when we don't have to pay for things.
It's going to be super nice, pretty blue, and awesome. It's going to get rid of an aging infrastructure that's there that's outside of its usable life. So it's real positive progress.
Yeah, and I mean, there's definitely a need for it. Yeah, I don't have any issues at all.
I'm
Yeah.
good as well.
You had me at playground equipment,
Cool.
so I'm good.
I will ask for a motion to approve item 4A.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Our next item, 4B, is a resolution approving the agreement between Playcore Wisconsin Incorporated, doing business as Game Time, and Pueblo County for installation of playground equipment at the Pueblo County Recreation Center.
Same deal, different location.
I may begin.
Yeah.
Hey, that this is the exact same agreement with the same company, but it's a larger two-structure playground as well as two pavilions installed adjacent to the Pueblo County Rec Center. This is 1A funded, so no general fund money.
Yeah, I mean, I think you explained it very well the other day or last week or whenever you were in here last. And then I remember asking you, I can't remember if it was during the meeting or right afterwards, about the fencing around and it being that split rail, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
But that is not included in this.
It's
Funding.
already built. It's already a used asset right now.
Okay. Yeah, this is great. This, like we talked about, this just expands the services that we're able to provide out of the rec center. I think the more and more we can offer that as a space for the public to congregate, the better. I think this is a perfect use of 1A dollars. So thanks for putting it together, sir.
Absolutely.
And in looking at the contract, they have 180 calendar days to get this completed.
We'll get everything ordered and everything will be completed by the end of this year.
Okay,
Yes.
thank you.
Great. I will ask for a motion to approve item 4B.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes.
The item 4C is a resolution approving the inmate health services agreement between NAFCare Incorporated and Pueblo County on behalf of the Pueblo County Sheriff for inmate medical services at the Pueblo County Detention Facility.
Morning, Commissioners. My name is Jeremy Bacher. I'm the operations captain at the jail. Today, we are seeking your approval for contract with NAFCare. This will continue services with our medical provider in the jail for the next 4 years, with the 5th year being an option year. Correctional health care, as Commissioner Lucero had asked me last time, it's expensive, but it's also human for what we need to do for those folks that are in our jail. We're inundated with mental health. We're inundated with substance abuse issues. And of course, just the cost to provide those services continue to go up. In seeking this RFP, there were a couple setbacks. Mainly was the construction delays with the new jail. It was a difficult moving target to hit, but ultimately we entered into a 6-month extension under the previous contract funding into this year. And then we ended up doing another 30-day extension so NAFCare could better prepare for finalizing the negotiations. But we've reached an agreement with that. With the RFP, we had 10 vendors apply. We had 3 finalists. Of those 3 finalists, NAFCare did have the better pricing, but they also had the better technology of services that we were asking for in that contract compared to the other 2. Cost is always going to be an issue. As I get through the this presentation. On the hard copies I gave you, it's hard to read. I apologize for that, but there's some graphs in there that we can discuss. And the idea is just to paint the picture to show you just how busy we are and some trends that we're showing. Of those cost increases, NAVCare is recognizing about a 24% rise in pharmacy costs, medical supplies, and other service-related costs. Insurance, due to the high liability of this type of healthcare, is also another consideration that goes into these increasing costs of providing healthcare within the jail. 2 years ago, we added a third mental health professional position to the jail to help us with those concerns that we were having. And then ultimately, in those contracts with NAVCare, they have a built-in 3% cost increase in the old contract, at least, for levying those things that they know we're going to increase, whereas that other burden on us for part of that percentage of contract is to cover the cost of the medications. So on NAVCare, we'll provide a pharmacy. Ultimately, we're still paying for those medications. On that first page, if you wouldn't mind, and the second page, it's just a quick snapshot of chronic care. It's also how chaotic it would seem looking at the graph for our ER sendouts, but that's based on the needs of those persons in our facility. Whether it's a chronic issue that's gone unaddressed while they were not in our custody, and now it's our issue to stabilize them. We do provide what's required and necessary for them, but we don't do elective procedures either. I know there was some questions to correctional Medicaid and things along those lines. Once we stabilize, we do utilize the Medicaid if there's a 24-hour stay at the hospital, but typically part of our demographic of those folks in the jail, they don't have health care when they're out on their own. That burden lies with us, the sheriff's office, and the commissioners. So again, reasons why these costs increase. In continuing to the third slide,
Captain.
or third,
Can I interrupt you and ask you a
yes.
question on this slide? What are we measuring here? On the y-axis, we're showing, like in January, for example, 800 what?
So chronic care, this could be anything from respiratory to gastro to cardiac, depending on how they're tracking it. I will say this, in the 2026 line, it's higher. That's how the data changed with our healthcare provider as far as what they were considering chronic care. That's why there was such a jump in there.
So these are number of cases.
That's
Yes.
not people, it's
It's-
the number of incidences.
Correct.
Correct.
So it could be
People
one
and
person with
incidents.
several.
Okay.
We could have one person that has several incidents for
Right.
that matter, depending on how unfortunately poor their health condition might be.
Okay.
That makes sense. As we provide more care in more areas, that number would jump.
Yes. You know, one train of thought is that, okay, our jail numbers for our average daily population are lower. I think we're getting into more cases where we just have more sickly people, unfortunately. So whether we're handling those in the facility or we're sending them out, there are some measures here, again, as we get towards the end, that I can show you with some ways NAVCare is helping us combat that a little bit. But there's no other questions, I did want to talk about the previous contract pricing, if that's okay.
Sure.
Yeah.
So on your third, I think it's your third page, you should see a blue cutout of an Excel spreadsheet. I just wanted to pay your attention going from left to right. So that's the year of the contract and the initial terms of the contract, but we're also pricing the healthcare of a facility for 650 inmates. That would be a average daily population of that high. We have not hit those numbers in quite some time. That was a factor in the negotiation based off of my previous testimony here for the 30-day extension. These were the numbers that NAVCare had entered into the initial contract, and of course the monthly payments. You can see that as the years progressed, there was that 3% increase for each year to cover some of their costs for their services and things like this. Ultimately, we spent more than what the original contract was, and that's from the myriad of situations, from cost to numbers of amount, volume of people needing health, medications. It runs the gambit with that. What we ended up doing was combining these increases, and we were budgeting for the 5.2 million on the side over there. Unfortunately, as we stayed positive with that, it still crept up as the contract aged and progressed into where we are now. Currently, because we are on the numbers for cost, even though we have an approved budget for last year's contract, the extensions, it is a temporary savings cost there. But temporary is the key word in that, because when we start 2027, if you turn to the next page, or if it's, do you guys have it on the same page? I'm sorry.
Which
That
one?
orange box?
Yep.
Yeah, it's on the same page.
The costs will go up. So as the negotiations continued and went on, according to the RFP, again, in the orange box on the left, we were basing our cost off a facility that had an average daily population of 680. This would be the max we would have at the current new jail. With that extension conversation during the previous testimony, we retooled during the negotiations. Retooling that part does save us money short term, but there could be a long-term piece to this. So if you go down to, hopefully it's a green box on your part, the printer was not very nice to me, it looks like. Those costs there are based on a 500 ADP. And ultimately we're saving, I'm not gonna math it so well, about $500,000 by those numbers. What that would mean is that if we were to ever exceed 500, so 501, 502, and there are times where we have exceeded 500, this contract will put in place a per diem per inmate per day, $5.87. In speaking with NAFCARE, that was a cheaper option. However, we do have the ability to modify the contract to see fit if we need to seek a better pricing if for some reason our numbers spike in the jail over what we're contracting the coverage for right now.
Captain, can I ask you a question there, please?
Yes, sir.
So the way that I read this contract is we are locked into that payment, the payment that we're agreeing to for each year. For the remainder of this year, it's $500,000, a little over $500,000 a month. We are committing to that amount regardless of the amount of care provided, right? So we're not billed up to 500,000. We are locked into that number. Is my reading of that correct?
Yes.
So if we exceed that 500 ADP threshold, we will be billed per head over 500. Were there conversations about when our ADP is under that 500 threshold that the contract is, that we don't pay that full amount?
Yes. So currently in our contract, when we have salary savings for staff, because NAFCARE is like any other business company, government entity, they have staffing issues sometimes. So what money is not paid by those open positions, that NAFCARE does not keep that money. They reimburse us that money, I believe it's a quarterly basis. So I asked the same considerations for a monthly or quarterly reimbursement for services that are not rendered. Ultimately, doing that on a monthly and quarterly basis, this is going to sound really bad until I finish. It would create more of a essentially more work for that accounting piece, because what money is not spent in the contract for that annual period still comes back. We keep, actually, we don't spend that money.
So it's
if
not
there's a
even
big-
reimbursed, it's retained.
They're
Yes.
invoicing us based on,
Yes,
right?
yes.
Hold on, but we just agreed that we're committed to this amount every month. So it is a reimbursement. They're not billing us for services rendered. We are committed to $500,000 plus a month. So which is it? Just for clarity's sake, it is a reimbursement, is my understanding, of the way it's always
At
worked.
the end of the year, if we're still retaining the money, then we're still keeping the money based off of what we had budgeted for. Otherwise, yes, the monthly payment is still there.
Okay.
So so you're paying, so I guess you're allocating that, but you're paying for services. It's not, it is not a reimbursement. We're just allocated and budgeted for.
Yes, based on the invoicing that
Okay.
will reconcile itself at the end of the year, as we
Okay.
always do.
I appreciate your work on it. And, you know, obviously the 500 head count is a lot different than the 680 in payments. So
Yes.
I think we just have to, I appreciate your due diligence in looking at those numbers. And in reading the contract, as you stated, NavCare will have to adjust staffing as needs grow or shrink. And so that's the unknown is we don't know who's coming into the jail that needs certain services. So it's, again, we don't know what we don't know till we get through a fiscal year, but I appreciate you're looking at all the options and managing this contract the way it needs to be managed for this kinds of services that you end up doing or not doing, depending on who's there.
Thank you.
I know it's unpredictable. You have history to look at, but as you stated, we have a new jail that offers more ability to service our inmates with health conditions and mental health. And so it'll be interesting to walk through this year. But I do appreciate the layout of how you've analyzed what can be done.
I was trying to present the best visual I could.
Yeah.
I just was worried about HIPAA and the proprietary contract stuff with the monitors. Fortunately, that's why you guys got the printout.
Right.
As we move on to the next page, just a quick graph that's addressing our average daily population. While those numbers come close to 500, this is an average. There are days that we do go over 500 for the year. Right now, we're in a blessed position with our ADP. As far as those services, part of this contract will then update and upgrade and improve our MAT program. So this is our medication assisted treatment through our substance abuse, typically opioids. And we will be bringing on 3 additional staff. So that will be a specific MAT healthcare provider, a MAT RN, and then a MAT discharge planner. Each have their own focuses and duties with a full MAT program. Currently, our MAT program is limited, but we do induct and we do continue community OTPs and things like that come into our facility. By having that full MAT program, though, it needs to be more heavily monitored, and hence we have more collaboration with our community. That's why we need those other 3 dedicated positions. So that's part of that cost that's built into the renegotiation of the 500 ADP. The only thing that's not built into here, and NavCare is forecasting based off of similar programs in Mesa County, Wausau County, Washington, and Pima County, Arizona, it's likely our program will increase 30% based off the needs of our population for induction. With that cost increase, while we have some savings under the contract, there's going to be potentially additional costs for those medications to cover that increase. Why a full MAT program? Well, there were statistics a couple of years back when we first heard about this that Pima County showed a 20% drop in opioid-related issues within their jail. So in our community here, we continue to struggle with these concerns with those folks and getting them the help, and ultimately it's a liability issue for this office and for the commissioners. And if it's a better way to treat them while they're here, offer them education, which is also part of this program, it's just another thing that we can do to hopefully get a couple, if not all, that's the goal, but realistically a couple folks to change their ways and be healthier for that matter. So some of those diagrams will will speak to the MAP program in our inductions. I do want to say the 2 trends that are on there for, and excuse my blindness here, 2025 and I think it's 2024. 2025. Anyways, those spikes that render up, that's what happens when we don't have a provider that's not dedicated, and we have to either go to another facility and have somebody do a tele-induction, which is not the best thing to do, to continue the community stuff. So when you see those jumps, that's catching up to where we need to be, but that line is going to show just where we're at with those inductions in the need. The other line there is for detoxing. That's a COWS. COWS, I can't think of the acronym, I apologize, but that's what they use to monitor detox. There's alcohol, there's different substances that go into that. In our jail population, you will have a detox for alcohol. At the same time, you'll have a detox for, just think of something and it'll be there. Marijuana, opioids, meth. I've personally seen UAs where there's at least 7 or 8 things on board these individuals, and they're so sick when they come into our facility, that first week of detox is alarming, to say the least. So, as part of NAVCARE's treatment that they offer, we are also asking for a couple things that will come to no cost. Mainly is going to be a medication barcoding system. So right now we're kind of low tech in this regard. Nurses go by, they pass meds, they mark sheets off, they use their laptop. Essentially, this introduces just a barcode scanner, so we can do what the hospitals do now, have better accountability of things, and just make it easier for organizational stuff for us. It'll also offer or continue our Zelnova provider program, and I think it's the very last sheet or second to last sheet. With Zelnova, this is kind of an after hours when a provider isn't around. On those numbers that are up high there, these don't go by the year. This is just based off of this year so far. Of those 40 or 50 potential ER sendouts, those were handled in facility by using this Zelnova program. And ultimately, those only led to upwards of, I think, 7 or 8 sendouts. So NAVCARE is improving things to help us combat that. Also costs money to send people out to the ER. The last thing that they would offer technology-wise is going to be a My Inmate app, I think is what they're calling it. This can be directly downloaded to the inmate tablets that we have. It uses the Adovo system program that is compatible, and inmates will get a real-time look at where they need, where their healthcare is at, so they have a more direct line to that if they want to make other requests or see where they're at. We do have a way to modify that so we can control some of that if need be, but the idea is just to be more transparent with those folks. We'll be introducing a courier service. While we have our OTPs here in Pueblo, sometimes having 2 deputies show up in uniform to collect methadone is not the ideal thing we want and those patients want. So NAVCARE will offer at no cost a courier service now, and that will take some of that stress off our deputies' back, stress with those folks that are getting their help within those OTPs and things like that.
And that's a no-cost service.
No cost service.
Yeah.
Couple comments, Mr. Chair.
Sure.
You know, I talked to several commissioners around the state. Let me back up. Last time we talked about this contract, I expressed my concern that it's just a huge number, right? And I wanted to dig into, on a per inmate per day basis, is the county paying what we would expect to pay? I'm convinced that we are not getting raked over the coals here as far as the cost per inmate per day. These things are egregious around the state. Some counties, even the big counties with much higher populations, have higher per inmate per day costs than we do, entering into even this renewed contract at a higher cost. So from that standpoint, I think this is kind of the way the business works in regard to inmate healthcare. What I'm not really sold on, and I'm not clear based on our conversation up to this point, sir, is the fairness of this contract for the county. Primarily, we're basing this on a 500 ADP. Your numbers show that for July, we were under 400 ADP. We have no mechanism to be reimbursed or pay less when we're not hitting that 500 ADP threshold that the contract price is based on. However, when we go one person over, we are getting charged per day per head for anything over 500. So from that standpoint, I just don't think this is a fairly written contract for the county. And until I understand what you're saying in regard to that reimbursement mechanism, so you know how we get money back, I understand the vacancy savings the vacancy staff savings that we get reimbursed if there's a 21-day period where a vacant position exists. But as far as services rendered or lack of services rendered, to me, there's no reimbursement mechanism in here for that. So can we try one more time to clear up if that is the case or not? Is there any reimbursement mechanism for the county other than the staffing vacancies?
The only thing that I can say to that without seeking other contact with Mr. Hirsch and his staff, who did help with the contract part with myself, is that everything will come out during the reconciliation with the invoicing at the end of the year. I can't give you a clear answer on that. I think of what you're wanting, so I would need to get back with you on that.
Okay.
But I have asked NAVCare and that money that we do retain that we don't pay out, and that again goes to that invoicing.
And it looks like based on your data, there are years where we are not, where we're not spending, we're spending less than what the actual contracted amount is. So maybe we just need to look at the actuals from 2025, where according to the data presented here, we spent less than contracted. How did that happen? And that might shed some light on the reimbursement mechanism, as I'm referring to it.
Are you looking at the blue box there?
I'm looking at the blue box in your 2025 year. We contracted 4.38 million. We spent just over 4 million.
Is that just year to date? No, that's 25, I'm sorry. Yeah.
So this is, so we have an approved 2026 budget right now.
Mhm.
That is the 6.1 figure. Because we don't have a contract since January, NAVCare agreed to keep the cost from 2025.
Okay.
So those costs have continued through the contract extensions. Now with updating for the remainder of the year, in the other sheet there, that's where the 2 million comes in to finish the year.
Mhm.
So right now, we do have a surplus based off of a year-old contract pricing.
Sure. And that's
So
for
this is,
26, and I
this is a
understand.
weird, this is a weird year. Essentially, the first full year into the new contract is 27. That cost increase based on that 500 ADP
2.8.
is going to be 6.2. So we're looking at a 2.8% increase. That's in the green box
Mhm.
overall. Now that cost, again, provides everything that I've presented here, plus the 3 additional staff members for the full MAT program. It brings on board those other technologies that we were wanting to have that some of those other vendors couldn't provide for us. It was the best option or solution that I could find in renegotiating with the ADP to do that. I know last time, Commissioner, you had talked about an independent person coming in and helping. While I am a captain and my bosses are present today, I don't have an issue with that. Of course, I would take coordination and we need to understand things with that. If that's something that you truly wanted to do.
Yeah, and I think, I'm comfortable with what the contract reads as far as the county owns the data. I think there is some audit ability with the contract as written. So that's not a huge concern. I do think the contract does lack some, KPIs or performance standards that are, kind of rock solid, where if NAVCare doesn't meet X, the county is entitled to Y. That doesn't really exist in here. But my biggest concern is that we're basing our budget and our contract on a ADP number that we haven't hit in 3 years. We haven't been above a 500 ADP since
That's
in 24, 25, and 26.
And not to speak over you, I apologize.
fine.
Again, that's based on the yearly average. During that
Sure.
yearly average, we have exceeded 500.
Sure.
We've been as low as under 400 for that matter. But when
on average.
when that does kick in, let's say for 33 days, we're at 512. They're going to assess that additional per diem as a cost-effective measure unless we don't want to renegotiate the contract. From what I gathered in our negotiations, that's not necessarily the right thing to do, but it's an option as a just in case. I wanted to leave as many options possible to renegotiate, have another amendment if needed to better fit both our needs and their needs for that matter. So.
Okay. And just to be clear, this is nothing, this is not an inquisition of you.
It's okay.
Your boss sent you up here as the messenger, so you're the only one I can talk to. I appreciate all the hard work that went into this.
Thank you.
I just want to make sure that a contract of this size, 6 million, I mean, we're committing today to $21 million over the course of a 3-year, 4-month contract. These are massive, massive dollar amounts of taxpayer dollars going out the door. And I'm just trying to learn and understand as much as possible to make sure that we're not, that the county's getting a fair shake.
Yeah, I think the secret to the negotiation for me in this last process was that ADP, realizing the volume of those services lessen because they're not needed, realizing that triggers an insurance reduction on their end. Of course, they have liability concerns too. That gets us to where we want to be. If you looked at the bottom of that orange box, that number gets really, really bad if we would have gone with the original 680 ADP in that RFP. So.
And I can appreciate your concerns, Commissioner. I think what clarified it for me, though, was looking through the contract on page, I think it's page 104, where it lists the things they're providing that we as the county jail cannot provide and the fluctuation of those needs. Again, it's the services provided in the human service world that we can't hire these people on our own in our community to do this work. We're contracting for a reason because they can fluctuate services. They have a service administrator, medical director, RN intake, RN clinics. If we need one, a psychiatrist, mental health professionals, they have an accreditation specialist, and they list the hours per day, the night shift, the evening shift, and the hours weekly. So they're giving us a full array of service depending on our needs. And I think that's what this contract really reflects is we don't know what we don't know, but we want to be prepared in the event that we reach the 500. We have a contract in place, and knowing if we don't utilize all of those 500, that invoicing can allow us to retain, from what I'm understanding, if we don't beat those benchmarks above, we can have some savings on this contract realized if we're not hitting that 500 number.
That's the crux of it right there.
Yeah.
Is that true? Do we have an ability to save money on services not rendered? At the end of the day, that's the question that I have.
Thank you. Commissioner, I just wanted to chime in a little bit. It's a forecast, right? So we don't know who we're going to have that comes in. We could have one person that comes in that medications run $20,000 a month. We could have another one that has a paraplegic that requires some CNA care. We could have several inmates that don't require any medical attention. So it's the forecast in this contract price with the 500. That's a starting point. To clarify your question, I think that's where you were going with this, so I'm trying to address that. If we remain under that 500 cap, if we service 420 inmates in the next fiscal year, that's what we're going to be billed for. We're not going to be billed for that 500. We're going to be billed for actuals that we have to pay out for them to manage this contract.
So it is actually retaining.
So it would actually be retaining. We're not paying it out
Got it,
until,
and then being
which is
paid
why you
back.
can see on that sheet, and I briefly scanned it this morning, some years are lower. I mean, we had some cost savings. So, and we will, but we don't know. We can never, we can only forecast and try to plan for what we're going to receive in the Pueblo County Jail.
But, okay, thank you, Sheriff. The sentence, we are billed for actuals, if that is the case, then I'm happy. But that is not the way that I read this contract. I'm not a lawyer. And until we get a firm legal interpretation of, are we truly billed for actuals, or are we committed to the full 500 grand a month? I'm just not comfortable I believe you, but that's not the way I read the contract. And I would like a legal opinion on that before I'm comfortable moving forward. I know the importance of this contract. I know the importance of providing robust medical care for inmates. All of those things are very important to me. I think the price is what it is. I'm not gonna go back and forth on that. But being billed for actual services rendered is the biggest thing that I'm concerned with.
Yes, Gavin Wilney is our lead negotiator on this, and I asked him to come here today specifically to address a couple questions such as this, so.
Thank you, sir.
I can review this question in more detail for a follow-up meeting. My primary concern was not pricing metrics. My understanding, however, is that you have certain absolute costs no matter what. So my understanding was that the monthly payment based on the 500 was a firm payment. That was my understanding. I will go back and confirm that. So, and the reason why, I know you asked this question about why, if our ADP has been lower than 500, would we agree to an ADP of 500?
I don't
And
think that's the question for me. I'm comfortable with that. It's a projection.
I think it's,
Right.
I think it is simply services rendered. Are we getting charged for that, or?
Yeah. My understanding is I was reviewing the contract, and again, the pricing information was I had other primary concerns with this. My understanding was that that monthly payment was our monthly payment
That's how I.
each month. That's how I read it.
No matter
I
what.
will go back and review in more detail, but my understanding was that was the base payment and there may be more. Whether that's per
But
diem
nevertheless.
or whatever, but my reading originally was that that is our base payment. To why that may, I will briefly address in our negotiations that there is a minimum staffing that NAFCare needs to maintain that I believe would not change much based on what they've told us if we went to like 450 from 500. We can clarify that with them, but to the extent that's a question about what savings could we get if we're at like 425 or 450 versus 500, based on the services they need to provide for a jail of this size, my understanding was that that would not change much. If we ratchet down from 500 to the extent it did from, I think it was 680 to 500. That's something we can certainly confirm. And I can also do more research into monthly cost savings. But my reading was the same as yours.
Thank you. And I think what seals the deal for me is this sentence. NAFCare will invoice the county by the first day of the month for which services will be rendered, and the county agrees to pay NAFCare on or before the last day of the month in which services are rendered. They're giving us an invoice on the first day of the month prior to us even knowing what services will be rendered for the month.
I don't read it that way. I read it on after a month is completed, they're doing that. But I guess section 9.4 of the invoicing, it also says NAFCare will use commercially reasonable efforts to monitor third-party providers for timely submission of claims. So it sounds like to me they have to get all their data together to see where we're at in terms of what we've actually utilized that month. So that clarification of section 9.4 on the invoicing, where they say what is rendered, I guess that's the question, the monitoring that they're doing. What does that mean? What are they looking at cost and then they invoice us and then we pay that? That's, I guess, the crux of it, but 9.4 and 9.1 are what are the crux of our conversation today about the compensation that they're receiving.
I guess I would ask Gavin if you could, on a timeline perspective,
Yeah.
get answers to those by
Yeah, absolutely.
Tuesday of next week. I
course.
mean, it's very specific, the
Yeah,
questions I
very
think that
sim-
this
yeah.
board continues to have. And I think just cleaning that would, I think, make everybody feel a lot more comfortable with it.
It would. What I know that our contract extension for the current contract is the end of this month. Is that correct?
31st is the last day.
So there is a timeliness factor here. Let me look at the calendar.
Yeah, and I mean, our next meeting isn't until September 1st, so is that an issue? Do we need a special meeting maybe tomorrow or Monday to get it in?
I think I want to say that that we're going through September 1st in our amendments. So I think September 1st would be
Adequate?
adequate. Yeah.
Maybe if you could find that out today.
Yeah.
And if, worst case scenario, if we get that answer soon today, we can, if need be, we can post for an afternoon special meeting
Yeah.
tomorrow for this one topic. If not, Monday if need be. If not, we can just continue it to the regular Tuesday meeting, if you guys are good with
That's what I
that.
would prefer. Yes,
And
thank you.
Commissioners, if I could just speak real quick on this, there is a 30-day termination for convenience clause as well. So just as an option, not my lane, but you could execute the contract. We could go through renegotiations. If it fails, we still have that 30-day time period as well. So it's not bound
Yeah,
for all those years.
I appreciate that. It's good to know. I know how much work has gone into this. I want to set us up for success for the long term at the new jail. Like that's the goal here. So all the negotiations have been happening. I think we're at the very last moment of the negotiations. We may not even need to have more negotiations, but so I don't want to enter into something and then hastily terminate. I want to get this right the first go. So yeah, I think Mr. Wolney, if you understand kind of the lingering questions, if we can get those answered, my preference would be to, and if we need to do it timely prior to the end of this month, we can get that done.
Yeah. And I mean, again, I don't think you guys don't need to present this entire thing. I think it is clarification on just that issue of
Agreed.
services rendered being charged for. Yes, it is. I think, I mean, I agree that it is what it is. And it's a credit to you all and your teams for getting us that comparatively best price around, as compared to other parts of the state. So,
So just to confirm, Commissioner, just cleaned up on those two areas in the contract would suffice for approval
I would like a.
without a presentation?
I don't think anything in the
Yeah, I don't
contract
think-
must change. I think we want a legal opinion. Does the contract say we're getting a flat monthly fee, or are we paying on services rendered?
The only thing that I think could be an outlier is if there needs to be staff retention, for the potential for those services rendered, but then they don't actually happen. If there's a difference between, just paying people to be on call or whatever that looks like versus actually doing the work. I don't want to muddy the waters up too much. I think that clarification just on services rendered or a flat rate is sufficient. And to answer your question, you don't need another presentation. I think we've got this beyond that. So,
I appreciate that.
Agreed.
yeah. You can come back. No, you can't. We don't need another presentation. Okay. All right. Well, then I will ask for a motion to, table item 4C, to our next meeting unless, it's determined by legal that we need to have that an answer before the end of the month. And if that's the case, then we will, schedule another meeting prior to Tuesday.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Thank you all.
Thank you, Captain.
Item 4D is a resolution authorizing the chair of the board to declare the promissory note paid and to release the deed of trust securing such a note for Paul Rusovic and Robin Rusovic.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
I'm Tracy Overton from Human Services, Account Supervisor, DHS. The next two agenda items are related to the citizens who had work done on their home through the HUD Home Rehab Program. Both homeowners have now completed their obligations and have paid in full. So we are requesting that the deeds for those properties be released.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah, pretty simple. You pay your bills.
Yes.
It's great to hear.
There's
Yes.
reward, there should be reward for that. I'll ask for a motion to approve item 4D.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. And I will ask for a motion to approve item 4E.
So moved.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am.
Our last item, 4F, is a resolution approving a collective bargaining agreement between Pueblo County, the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, and the International Brotherhood of Police Officers.
Good morning, Commissioners. Peter Blood, County Attorney's Office. We are asking you today to bring to a conclusion a process that's been over 2 years. It's due to the hard work of the union folks here and the union attorney here, and also all the folks from the Sheriff's Office that participated directly and indirectly in the negotiations. As you well know, this has been very difficult. It's a new statute, new folks getting into the labor world. With the help of federal mediators, we came up with a contract which I would describe as an excellent beginning, but nowhere near where we need to be in the future in terms of our relationships with the labor world. We're going to be taking active steps to improve our relationships. I hope that Mr. Rosillo and others will give their comments before you vote on this, because I think it's important that we document their perspective as well. I think the sheriff, with the help of the federal mediators, made clear that there's no hostility to management, by management to union, but we're always going to be concerned in a time of difficulties and crisis and budget problems with anything that interferes with mission. But as trust improves, I think the union will find more willingness to accept union ideas and union scrutiny so that the partnership grows and more union input will become part of policy and part of practice. So I can answer any questions you have directly about the contract or the negotiations, but I think it's even more important that you hear from others, the sheriff, or the under sheriff, and Mr. Rosillo and anybody else. I was hoping that Vince Champion would be able to zoom in. I'm not sure that happened or not, but he's the regional director for IBPO from Atlanta. He couldn't be here today, but do you have any direct questions for me, or is there anybody in the audience that you would like to speak to or hear from?
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I would just allow if they so choose for the people in most directly involved to come up and say a few words. You know who you are.
Good morning, Commissioners.
Morning.
My name is Brad Rosillo. You know who I am. I know who I am, but I am the president of the International Brotherhood of Police Officers, Local 837. Today is not just another agenda item on the county calendar. Today represents a defining chapter in the history of the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office and the labor movement right here in Southern Colorado. When the state granted county workers the right to organize, the men and women who put on the uniform, work the floors of our detention facility, and answer calls on patrol and in the comm center every single day, made a very clear choice. In December 2023, we organized as IBPO Local 837 to ensure that our frontline staff had a real and unified voice at the table. The journey was never easy. We faced skepticism, legal and administrative hurdles, a lawsuit, retaliation, demotions, terminations, and difficult days that tested our resolve. Yet through every obstacle, our members never wavered, and our numbers never dropped. We stayed committed to our profession, committed to protecting our community, and above all, committed to each other. Collective bargaining has never been about conflict. It has always been about respect, stability, and partnership. It is about ensuring competitive compensation and fair workplace standards so we can recruit the best talent and retain the seasoned personnel who keep our neighborhoods and the jail safe. When frontline personnel are supported, our entire community thrives. Just like Peter Blood mentioned, getting across this finish line took tremendous dedication, and I want to recognize those who carried the weight of this effort. Our negotiating committee, to the members of our bargaining team who gave up countless off-duty hours, weekends, and late nights at the negotiating table, thank you. You analyzed the numbers, defended our priorities, and carried the voices of our entire membership with absolute professionalism and grace. To Vince Champion, the regional director and our lead negotiator, to Carrie Slinkard, our attorney, Katie DeMonico, our attorney, and Tom Ledoux, our attorney. I cannot thank them enough for their contribution. To our labor partners, to our broader labor family, the Southern Colorado Labor Council, who's made up of the unions across Uniontown. They offered guidance, legal support, and steady solidarity throughout the entire process. The backing they provided proved that when working people stand together, real progress happens. To our county leadership, you all. To the Board of County Commissioners and their negotiating team, thank you for working through tough discussions to reach the balanced, fiscally responsible agreement that honors our workforce while serving the taxpayers of Pueblo County. Mr. Lucero, you always listen to labor, and we appreciate that. Mr. Swearingen, you stand up for the frontline personnel, and we appreciate that. Ms. McFeeters, you came in towards the end, but you were fair, and we appreciate that. Most importantly, to my family, none of this would have been possible without the steady support at home, because it's been very difficult. To my wife, Yolanda, to my daughter, Janessa, and to the rest of the members of my family, thank you for your endless patience and your understanding through the late night meetings and the missed dinners, and for being my rock every step of the way. And finally, to the members of Local 837, this day belongs to you all. Your patience, your unity, your solidarity, and your belief in me and the negotiating team, that's what brought us here. So I ask for a vote in support. And as we sign the collective bargaining agreement today, we're going to turn that page. We're going to move forward as partners in public safety. Stronger, we're going to be more united, and we're going to be dedicated to serving Pueblo County with honor, integrity, excellence, and professionalism. Thank you, and I'll entertain some questions as well.
Thank you, sir.
Thought you said you were going to keep your hair growing out.
No, that's not until October 1st, but you said you were going to keep yours shaved, to be fair.
Mine's going to grow up shoulder length. Sheriff.
Well, good morning, Commissioners. Again, I want to take a moment to recognize what I believe is an important milestone for the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, our employees, and Pueblo County. The road to reaching this agreement has been long, and at times it has been difficult, as you've heard. There have been disagreements along the way, and there have been certainly been different perspectives about this process. But today, I don't want to focus on those disagreements. I want to focus on where we are now and where we go from here. From the beginning, my responsibility has been to protect the employees of the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office, the taxpayers of Pueblo County, and the statutory and operational responsibilities entrusted to the elected office of sheriff. When questions arose about how Colorado's new collective bargaining law intersected with those responsibilities, I believe those were legitimate legal questions that needed clarification. At the same time, once directed to bargain, we did so, and we continued negotiating while those legal questions were being addressed. Those negotiations were extensive. We worked through difficult issues, participated in mediation with a federal mediator, exchanged proposals, and ultimately found common ground. The tentative agreement before you today is one that I believe respects the collective bargaining rights of our employees while also preserving the authority necessary for the sheriff to operate this office effectively and fulfill our public safety responsibilities. That is an outcome I can support. Once this agreement has been fully approved and executed by all parties, I am directing our legal counsel to take the necessary steps to voluntarily dismiss the pending judicial review action. The agreement sufficiently addresses the concerns that led me to seek judicial review, and I do not believe continued litigation is necessary or in the best interest of Pueblo County. I also believe ending the litigation is the fiscally responsible decision. There is no reason to continue spending taxpayer dollars litigating issues that we have been able to resolve through negotiation. I want to thank everyone who put considerable time and effort into reaching this agreement. I particularly want to recognize members of the Pueblo County and the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office negotiations team, specifically Mr. Peter Blood, Mr. James Wagner, former Under Sheriff Steve Bryant, Bureau Chief Mark Mears, and Captain Jeremy Bacher. I also want to thank the representatives of IPPO Local 837, the federal mediator, and the Board of County Commissioners for the time and work that went into reaching this very point. Most importantly, I want to recognize the men and women of the Pueblo County Sheriff's Office. Regardless of what was happening at the negotiation table or in the courtroom, they continued coming to work every day. They answered calls for service, worked in our jail, protected our community, and carried out the mission of this office. They deserve our appreciation and our respect. Collective bargaining requires both sides to advocate for their interests. It also requires both sides to eventually find common ground. We have done that. We will not agree on everything going forward, and no collective bargaining agreement changes that, but we can disagree professionally, communicate directly, and continue working together toward what should always be our shared priority, supporting our employees and providing the best possible public safety services to the citizens of Pueblo County. I believe this agreement gives us that opportunity. Thank you, and I'm also available for questions.
Thank you. I would ask if anyone else would like to come up and speak that's been involved. And then if y'all want to come back up and answer any questions if my colleagues have any. Going once? Nobody? You want to come up, Danae?
Good morning, Commissioners. And I was not planning on speaking. I literally was just here to show support and to stand in solidarity with all of the work that's happened. But I think this is an example of the whole reason we ran the bill we ran at the state to make sure all county employees have the ability to collectively bargain. We did so to make sure that there was conversations at the table, that there were people coming together for the good of the entire community. And I just can't tell you how proud I am to see you all stick it through. I know it's been a difficult road, but y'all made it. And you're here, you're at the table, you're having those conversations together to really make sure that we're looking out for the entire community of Pueblo County, and we can't do that without any of you. So I'm just proud to say that the intention of that bill is shown here today. So thank you for the hard work that you've been doing. Thank you, commissioners, I'm hoping for your yes vote today to see this completely through. But this is what it means to stand together. And I think that this is a prime example of how Pueblo operates together. So thank you, and just appreciate the moment. Thanks.
Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you.
I'm
Anyone else?
gonna just kind of piggyback on that. I want to say my sincere thanks to Ms. Escar. Without her work on the bill, without bringing the bill to the floor, without getting the bill approved, I don't think that we wouldn't be here at all. Not a shot. It's not just for the law enforcement professionals across the state who are going to benefit. It's all county employees. So she took the step. She did what she had to do, along with her partners up at the state, to make sure that this is going forward. Every single county employee to have the ability to enjoy the fairness, the equality, and just the overall support that they deserve. It's not just about the sheriff's office. So for Danae to do that and then to remain by our side through all of it, through the very beginning, all the way in the middle, and even now today, that's support that you can't purchase. And that's support that she didn't have to give, but she did. So I think we should all applaud Ms. Escar.
Thank you. Anyone else like to speak on this? Okay. Yeah, I mean, just real quickly, I'd just say that, it's been a long road. It's something that I kind of it was brought as soon as I walked through the doors here. Public safety is, as I've always said, the number one job of government. And to provide for our law enforcement officers, which I continuously say is probably the most difficult job there is out there. There's a lot of tough jobs that are done at the county, but day in, day out, you never know what you're going to get. You can go from a traffic violation to an active shooter to paperwork to dealing with fires and floods. So I just want to applaud all of our law enforcement because this board certainly respects everything that you do out there. And it's good to get across a finish line, and I'm happy that those negotiations happened for years on end. And yeah, just thank you all for being here today and all the hard work to get this thing finished.
Well said, sir. This is a big moment. Yeah, it's been a long time coming. I can see how much it means when you talk, Mr. Rosillo, Sheriff, when you get up here and you speak, I can see it and hear in your voice how much this effort has meant to you guys. It's been a lot. It's been a lot of hard work. It's been a lot of late nights. It's been a lot of frustration. Sheriff, I got to say, I'm extremely grateful and proud of you for getting up here today and being willing to end the legal battle that we've been fighting surrounding this issue. I think it takes a lot of I don't know if it's courage, but it takes a lot to make that decision, to announce it publicly. So personally, thank you. I know that's something we've battled about privately and slightly publicly. But I know where you land on this. I know how important it is to you that your deputies have this right to bargain. So thank you to you, Mr. Blood. Thank you for all the hard work on this on behalf of the county. Chief Mears, I know you were in those negotiations, Chief Toth. And Brad, you have a lot to be proud of, buddy. Thank you for being a labor champion. Mr. Mora, I want to thank you for being here today. I know you and I have talked about your beliefs towards labor, and you expressed them very clearly. I've talked to Alan Medina, another sheriff candidate, and he is a believer in these same types of things. So, knowing that our next sheriff, our current sheriff and our next sheriff share these values and about the importance of the ability to collectively bargain and the importance of unions and what it means to Pueblo and our sheriff's department. I'm very grateful for that. I just want to say thank you. Good job. Congratulations. I'm I'm glad I'm glad this day has come. It's been something that I've been looking forward to since the first day I got sworn into this office. So like you mentioned, Mr. Rosillo, it's not just a win for the sheriff's deputies, it's a win for workers across our community. And last but not least, Ms. Escar, this wouldn't be possible without you, ma'am. Good job. Congratulations. It's what it's all about. We appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you, commissioners. I don't know that I could add much more, but to say I just have a huge respect for our sheriff's department and every Pueblo County employee. As a county commissioner, our main job is to fund government and working with our sheriff's department to ensure he's got the budget that he needs to manage his department is our primary role. And as I've watched the agreement, the negotiations between the union and the sheriff, it's one of those moments for us where we're trying to assist and help, but that decision-making between your department and the union has really been negotiated in good faith. And I want to thank Peter Blood and his staff, as well as the union and your staff for negotiating something that can be agreeable to both sides. Because I'll be honest, as a third party watching, knowing my role is to support an elected official with the budget and balance that need in our county government for employees to feel that they have the opportunity to participate. It's been an interesting process. I'm especially proud that we've reached a point of agreement, and I hope for better things in the future. I hope for more understanding. And I also know our role as the board is to fund this operation. And so those are always concerns of mine, to be honest, that we have the money and the resources the sheriff needs to do the job. And in our negotiations that we can be fair to all parties. So in the end, this is a significant day, one that for frankly, the last year and a half we have worked towards. So congratulations to everyone. Thank you for coming today and for acknowledging the hard work that it's taken to get to this point. Thank you, Sheriff, especially. I know you've worked especially hard to get to this point for your own team. I guess we're at that point in the process, Chair, where we can move to the next step, which would be,
Yeah, I just, one caveat would just say that I know that everybody in this room and everybody who has participated in this keeps in mind that at the end of the day, our job is to provide a service to this community. And I know that everybody holds our citizens in the utmost respect, and that is the job of government, is to take care of its people. And I know that we continuously do that, and I applaud all of you guys for working towards steps on getting that done. Okay. I will ask for a motion to approve item 4F.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion passes. Brendan wanted me to sign these.
I just wanted to add administratively, I know Brendan's told you there will be signing of the document by the chair. I just wanted to remind you of two things. There's the contract itself, and addendum is the memorandum of understanding that will delay some issues until we're on a better financial footing. We need signatures from union and management, in this case, Commissioner, and both. In addition, I just want to know let everybody know for the benefit of Brad and his team. Vince Champion couldn't sign this today because he's in Georgia. We had intended he would do the second signatory. At Brad's discretion, we could either have another person from the union sign as the second signatory, or we could just have Vince sign at a later time. In our position, and I think Brad would agree, it's perfectly legal and valid and in complete full force. The minute any signatures are obtained from both sides, I don't think we have, the legal effect will wait for, we'll have to wait for Vince, but I'll leave that to Brad as to whether we.
I just saw him
wants to
come.
sign.
He's actually just came online.
Okay.
Wanna
But
let-
again, I just want to, administratively, it goes into effect when a representative of the union and the chair of the board signs.
Okay. Do you want to let Vince in and, okay.
Mr. Champion, welcome to the show, sir. I hate to break it to you, but you missed a lot of the ceremony. The Board of County Commissioners just unanimously voted to approve the resolution that ratifies the contract. So we are at a point where we are ready to have the chairman sign along with IBPO representation. Mr. Chair, I'll leave it to you, sir. Would you like to allow Mr. Champion to say a few words, should you
Yeah,
desire?
yeah, you can say a few words if you'd like.
Thank you. First off, I'd like to apologize. I was on another Zoom call handling some other issues throughout the states. But the best that I want to say is I just appreciate all the hard work that everybody put in to do this, and I appreciate the council approval, and I look forward to working with everyone.
So,
Thank you very much.
yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you very much. So Peter, it's fine if, say, Brad or somebody else signs it now, and I guess I would ask Vince if you're fine with that as well.
Yeah, Vince, I had indicated that since you weren't here, we had anticipated you being the second signatory for the labor side, but it's perfectly legally valid if Brad signs, so it goes into effect today. At your discretion, we could either have you sign the next time you're out here, or we could overnight one of the copies to you, but that's a complete labor decision as to whether they want you to be the second signatory. Once the chair is signed, legal effect.
Yes, Brad has all full authority to sign. We're good with that. And if second signature is needed at a later time, I can take care of that next time I'm out.
Okay. All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
So is this, you want me to sign this? Yep. Okay.
I think this is the first reso that's ever been signed at the desk.
Yeah. Special.
You sign your name
Everybody
like
can
a
make fun of
doctor.
my, yeah, everybody can make fun of my signature.
It looks like a physician's when you sign. I can't
I
read
got a
it.
very long name, so
I know.
it'll take a while to write it out legibly. Sheriff, you want to come up and sign it? Have Brad come up and sign it as well? I can come out to you guys. Camera zoomed in on your handshake. Just so appreciate y'all very much. That'll bring us into commissioner comments. I go first, so you guys can go.
Okay, I'll go. Big news, you might have heard the fair's in town. Fair is something that we should be very proud and grateful to have here in Pueblo. So if you're around and can get over there to support the fair, it would be awesome. One of the big events that goes along with the fair is the legislative barbecue, as it's called. That will take place tomorrow evening. If you haven't got your tickets yet, you're probably out of luck for that. However, one of the benefits of having the legislative barbecue is that all of your favorite politicians that you see on the news and, you know, see in the paper, they will be in town. So there's a lot of opportunities tomorrow outside of the legislative barbecue to meet with your favorite or maybe least favorite Congress people. One of those opportunities that I want to plug, these are all open to the public. There's coffee with Congressman Jeff Hurd at the county library, at the main library branch in the, sorry, I don't have the room, but I'm sure it won't be hard to track down. That's at 9 a.m. tomorrow, again, at the Rawlings Library. One topic of conversation for Mr. Hurd, something that we've been talking to him constantly about, is of course the Aspen Acres fire. His support of the disaster declaration package that was presented by the governor. If the community shows up loud and clear and says, Congressman, we need you to lobby hard to the Trump administration, that may be a very welcome message. I'm certainly don't want to imply that Congressman Hurd is not supportive of that package and is not lobbying hard, but the more he hears from our community, specifically folks from Beulah, I think the more beneficial it will be. One other event tomorrow, hosted by the NAACP here in town, is a kind of like a town hall community meeting with Congressman Joe Neguse. That's at Zaragoza over in Bessemer. That takes place at 1:30 p.m. tomorrow. Great opportunity to talk to Congressman Neguse, and then the Attorney General Phil Weiser will be in town, candidate for the next Colorado governor. He will be in town. He's at the Sunset Bar. I think everyone knows where that is, at 3:30 p.m. So, you know, folks, I just want to encourage you. These people are not celebrities. They're human beings. They are responsible for representing us at the highest levels of government. And if you have an opportunity to engage with them, please take advantage of that opportunity. They're very few and far between, quite frankly, for some folks. So strongly encourage you, if you have time and you're out and about tomorrow, try to touch base with some of our federal representation. I wanted to quickly address some of the comments. The gentleman's been coming in here. I think he took off, but he's made some comments about the Front Range Passenger Rail project. I sit on that board, so I'm going to try to get in touch with him individually, but the number that keeps coming up in his public comment is $38 million. And kind of the implication that the county will be spending $38 million in some form or fashion on getting that train down here. That's patently untrue. You know, there is infrastructure dollars that, if and when the train gets down to Pueblo, infrastructure dollars are required, but it's certainly not coming out of the county coffers. There will be a ballot measure, very likely. It is on the Front Range Passenger Board agenda tomorrow to vote on whether to refer that ballot language to the ballot for November. So I would anticipate a ballot measure that will touch citizens of the city, residents of the city of Pueblo. You will see that on your ballot should it be referred by the board tomorrow. And while the train will not arrive in Pueblo immediately, you know, we're kind of the phase 2 of that project. What we will receive, assuming that ballot measure is approved by voters, is a $3 million annual stipend to begin the infrastructure upgrades around the station area, which is the historic Union Depot. So I am a huge advocate of that project. I'm excited and proud to be able to cast my approval vote to refer that measure to the ballot this November. I think the county could probably do a better job. There's what the Front Range Passenger Rail Board is calling a delivery and finance plan that's very well fleshed out. It kind of details phase 1, phase 2, phase 10 of this entire project, the timeline around it. So I think with the commissioner's consent, I would ask our PIO to maybe get some more information out there surrounding the Front Range Passenger Rail. You know, it's very objective. It's just kind of the delivery plan. It's not trying to sway people one way or another on how to vote. It's just information for what that could mean for our community. So I'm going to try to address that gentleman. I appreciate his participation if he's listening currently. But there is some mistruth or kind of just misinformation on what's being presented. So that delivery plan, once we're able to share it, it will be a lot more robust information. So enjoy the weekend, enjoy the fair. Please be safe. Please represent our community well. We're lucky to have this fair, and we want folks to know everything that this community has to offer as they visit Pueblo. Thanks.
Thank you, Commissioner. I know you and I have not always agreed on everything, and in the train question for Front Range Rail. Mr. Klenke is the gentleman that comes in from, and brings this up. I just want to add, this is going to be a voter referred issue. Voters will decide, do they want to pay taxes to support Front Range Rail? So just be aware, it's another voter question. Do you want to fund it? That is not political. That is a funding mechanism to support a train. And I'm really in private enterprise. I believe if it's a value, you'll pay the fees to support something. I don't know that I always want my tax dollars going to things that I might not use. And it's unfortunate that the county doesn't get to vote, but it is a city vote. Be informed, be educated, find out more about it. If you want to use your tax dollars that way, that's your call in the city. So that's what I would say to Mr. Klenke. That is a voter referred question that will be answered by the citizens of our community. One last comment. I don't want to take up too much of our time. We've been in here a while, but I appreciated Commissioner Lucero's description of the legislative barbecue as something you'd actually want to attend. It is a room full of hot air, lots of hot air. I can't say that I really enjoy it. It is something we need to do. I enjoy meeting our legislators and other politicos, as you would say, but if you want a room full of hot air, that's where to go, is the legislative barbecue. And the sheriff's really laughing because he knows I'm being honest about it. No, it's a good time. It's going to be in a different location, which I'm glad about. Maybe the AC will actually help. It's been really hot the last couple of years. I look forward to attending the many events. Of course, the Colorado State Fair Parade is on Saturday. Lots to celebrate our 150 in Colorado, and just all the work and effort Parks and Rec put a float together for the parade. We've got several of our elected officials who will attend. At the same time that's happening, my son's running a cross-country race in Elmwood Golf Course. And so there's a lot going on this weekend. I look forward to all the events as we get into fall. And I just want to say, as a human being, my favorite season is fall. So for those of you that are sad about summer, I'm actually getting excited. This is my favorite time of year. It's going to get cooler. The temperatures get a little cooler, and I love to bake in the fall season. So I'm getting to the point where I'm starting to get happy about weather because I'm tired of being hot, which is why the legislative barbecue bothers me. Anyway, that's all I have to say. Thank you, everyone, for coming today. It is a significant day for our county to move forward. And I want to say again, congratulations on the labor agreement that was agreed to for our sheriff's department. I think we have so much to look forward to and move forward together with in the future, partnership and understanding. And frankly, I just, want to say as a board that we want every employee to feel valued and appreciated. And I really would like to say, I would think we could do that without a union contract, but there are some things we do need to work out. And my goal as a county commissioner is to support every elected, to support our staff and do the best we can with the budget we have. And again, I'll say it one more time, we are still navigating financial situations that we have to make tough decisions and tough calls. And I appreciate the understanding of everyone who works for Pueblo County to know we're still working towards that goal to get the county's financial resources in order. And it's taken a lot of work and time, and we haven't lost sight of that. We've got the fire. We've got all kinds of things that have hit us as a board. And I want to say thanks again to Commissioner Swearingen and Commissioner Lucero for navigating this wonderful journey of being on this board the last year and a half. It's been awesome. Thank you all.
Thank you both. I'm going to touch on I'm going to read a couple things that some people sent me as well, but I think, agreed. Yeah, I was out at the fair yesterday, and to see all the rides up and everything, and all of the vendor booths coming in. So I know everybody here recognizes the significance of having the state fair here. And as you said, the parade on Saturday, just a lot of good things out there. There's a lot of free events once you get through the gates. There's ride days, there's all that good stuff. So
The food, don't forget the food.
yeah,
It's the best part.
turkey legs and whatnot. It's gone up in price over the years, but a lot of things have. So I just touch on a couple things with the fire real quick. First and foremost, I think that any of our roles as elected representatives, the biggest part of our job is to listen to our constituents. I continuously have heard on certain issues, one being demo permit fees. They continue to be raised. I've kind of been of the mindset to just waive them. I know that a board is not in total agreement with me on that, and that's fine. And I can understand why that it could open up a can of worms in its own right. But I just wanted to remind everybody that, again, thanking Grandview Baptist Church for their generous donation of $10,000 to cover 100 of those permit fees. talking with them significantly, and just the need of people in Beulah and all of the affected fire area, and now the affected flood area needs to remain at the top of everybody's mind, because it continues to happen. I mean, we had bad flooding up there night before last. Just want to say thank you to our road crews that are continuing to be up there, the sheriff's office that's continuing to monitor it. But I did want to clear up a couple things on the demo permit fee, on the demo permits themselves. So this is talking with our building department. Before I read this, I do want to say that if people are being told by contractors that they need multiple demo permits, they don't. That demo permit is to cover everything, the removal of all debris. So if somebody's saying, well, now you need another demo permit fee once you've cleared this debris, that's not the case. It's one demo permit fee. So the demo permits fee are covered to that generous donation. We're less than half of that fund being used up at this point. And the one permit does cover all the debris. Temporary RV housing and power, temporary use permits for RVs on your property are active with electric hookups, typically connected within 1 to 2 days. Expedited rebuilding, we are coordinating across departments to fast track permanent rebuilding permits and getting the facts. And, you know, it was raised on Tuesday that there's a lot of misinformation and the information flow isn't what it could be. We as a board are working to correct that. And I want to thank Josh and his team and everybody else that's continuously worked on that to get accurate information out there. But there is misinformation. So anybody, if you have any questions, you can look on the building division's website, and it is updated daily. So please keep yourself informed. We've come up with a process to get physical paper up there, and we look forward to that. And then I just want to say quickly, real thanks to Action Colorado. They put out the ability for people to write letters to, again, Miles' point about lobbying for that federal assistance, which we desperately need. I know that we're writing letters in addition to that as well. So I want to thank them for putting that out publicly. Also want to thank Jennifer, who came in on Tuesday, and they are working with the AART for a lot of those details coming out and that information coming out. I know that there will be a volunteer opportunity that's being organized, and for September 5th is being planned as a big volunteer day. So make sure you watch the local Facebook groups and all of that information out there. Again, with the caveat of there may be some misinformation. So please check all of that against all of our sources. And yeah, again, please keep those people in your thoughts and prayers. And if you can get up there and fill sandbags and help out and volunteer, we certainly appreciate it. And then I think that's a little long-winded. Just real quick to address some of the public comments. I know Wendy's comments on traffic out there. I mean, a lot of that is law enforcement, as we know. And then I had a conversation as recently as this morning about 36 lanes. So we are continuing to try and work to get traffic off a 36 lane as a haul route in itself. It takes time, it takes partners beyond just government. It takes private business out there to be partnering with that too. So I'm continuing to work on that. I applaud this board for keeping that at the forefront of our minds as well. So.
Commissioners, I do have one exciting update that I wanted to share with you and everybody in attendance and online. Yesterday, Josh Johnson, Jen Wagner, and myself went over to speak with the Water Conservancy District Board. The ask was for some kind of contribution to the emergency watershed protection dollars that the county is on the hook for to get some of those water infrastructure projects done. The Conservancy District, while I don't know a specific dollar amount, I do know that they have agreed to help in the form of at least some kind of six-figure contribution that will be split between the county and the state for our contribution. So I just wanted to extend a huge thank you to them. It's a massive help. If you recall, between the state and the county, we have $4.4 million to come up with in order to meet the entirety of that $17 million federal infrastructure package that has been proposed. So every $10,000, every $100,000 is massive. So I just want to say thank you to the leadership at the Water Conservancy, and especially thank you to Josh and Jen for pushing and making those contacts. We will continue to do that with organizations throughout the community, but they came through immediately for us.
Awesome.
Just want to let you know.
Thank you.
Good news.
Did want to say one more thing. Our call to action on Tuesday, since we're doing one more things. That conversation between Beulah residents and the art team represented by Stephen, it really is important. And I just want to throw this out. When we got home Tuesday night, there was a major amount of flooding in Beulah. And I just want to re-emphasize the need for Beulah to be safe. Do not travel when it rains like that. We still have people ignoring or driving through areas that are not safe. And I just want to ask people to please, when it really rains, to not travel in Beulah. It's just not safe. And we don't want to see any water rescues or anything like that. So I appreciate the patience of everyone in Beulah. And we mentioned it in our news press release yesterday, Beulah Strong. Beulah Strong is what they've reflected this last 2 months. And they're a strong community. They rely on each other. And we're here to help you. We're going to get info to you. We're going to get resources, as Commissioner Lucero just announced today. We're doing everything we can to assist you during this, what I would call an epic tragedy for Pueblo County. And we're going to keep walking through it day by day. So thank you again for your understanding. And for those that have rallied volunteers, I saw some of that on Facebook. If you can help, please go sandbag, help our elderly neighbors. That's the call to action. I continue to say, it's not just the government that can help. We can all do something. Whether you can donate money, time, treasure, talent, offer that, and we can get through this tragedy together. So thank you.
Yeah, stay off those flooded roads. And I've heard stories of employers saying people need to get back to work. No job is worth your life in that respect. So please keep that in mind. Those roads can be dangerous. Our next meeting will be
I'm kidding.
September 1st. I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
I'll second.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye, we're adjourned.
You were going to say no.